welcome to another video. This is about strategic management tools. Mind you, this is relevant for business strategy as well as other aspects of company also, even marketing for that matter, or any other operation that the company plans to do within the industry. So, strategic management tools means a series of, let's say, very proven, tested, long held, popular um, tools that an organization uses to measure itself, measure its capacities, measure its strengths, the challenges, the opportunities, and yes, the threats also. So, these tools help an organization to, technically prepare itself for the future, the short term or mid term or even the long term. And these analyses are based on a series of specific measurements, specific studies about organizations, um, the current status. So let's go about it as to why we need to do this strategic management tool. No company can just get the money and spend on. You need to identify as to where they stand, as to its status, as to how competitive it is in the industry. Yes, of course, when you do that, you need to focus on your internal factors. We call them the micro factors as well as the macro factors, the environment. Micro, as you know, we can change, we can develop, we can influence, whereas macro can influence us, meaning the company. So, yeah, why do we need strategic management tools? Just better management tools, right? Or better utilization of management tools improve the confidence of the team. They know what they are up to. Definitely, it will improve the communication. Yes, you would think of the growth trajectory. We call the which angle we have to grow, which far, which way, which in speed, which speed, or which measures we should take in our approach upward. Clearer the objectives, better the ability to face the challenges. And yes, what are our priorities? And no organization has sufficient resources. Every organization has challenges with regard to resources. So how to utilize it better? Now these are the tools. Some of the tools you may have already seen, like SWOT, PESTEL, Porter's Five Forces, Ansoff Matrix, Rio analysis is something new there, Balance Scorecard, and of course a strategy map. So yes, it's not a case of using all the tools that we have learned in our studies on the company, on an organization. It's up to the company to consider as to what kind of tools to be utilized. For example, SWOT and PESTEL, one of the oldest of tools, are extremely popular even today. Taken alone, even one of these tools would help for an organization to make up a proper assessment of itself. Of course, using a number of tools would make sure that the organization would miss nothing or miss little by way of its forecasting and strategy setting. Take a look at SWOT, please. Yeah, it helps us on the micro and the macro. The wonder of, or the good thing or the beauty of SWOT is it helps us to compare micro and macro both. Might help us to cancel out our weaknesses with strengths, might help us to, in a way to face our threats with better opportunity handling. PESTEL, so much of factors, right? If you're going internationally, you can put PESTEL also, right? International aspect also. Looking at the environmental factors. And then the ever reliable Porter's Five Forces, which takes a serious look at the competition and the possibility of new entrants, the chance of people to go for substitutes. And yes, what about the consumer, the buyer? Their attitudes, their capacity, so their intention, the trends may change. How would it impact the company? And finally, yes, the suppliers. Suppliers may or may not have the bargaining power, but that has to be considered. So, combining all, we could take a serious look at the competitive rivalry of the organization with regard to the others. Then how are we to enter the market? A key aspect in any business strategy, which method are we to use to enter the market, is a key. If I go back a bit, come here. Um, Sort and pestle help us to identify where we stand. That's it. But you need to go beyond using Porter's 5 or Ansoff matrix or even Rio, right, to exactly decide what to do. So doing what is not in sort and pestle. Sort and pestle help us to identify the current status as it is, whereas tools like Ansoff make us decide exactly what action are we to take. Are we to develop the market further, going for new markets, or are we to stay within the same market with the same product, market penetration, or are we going to go for something way more varied than what we are doing now? New markets, new products, diversification. So it's all up to the organization to figure out with the user tools. Yes, we need to use tools for the current situation analysis, but we have to use the tools for deciding what exactly are we to do with it. Now, one thing that we learn here is new is a balanced scorecard. Now, if you take a look at it, right, what is it about? It's about identifying our 4 key aspects, such as the internal process. How about our capacity, the quality, our patents, our strengths, our assets, our people, our resources, internal process, and how new our machinery and everything is. How ready are we to change? And then the organizational capacity, it goes kind of little bit with the processes about how we do it. Organizational capacity about what do we have, people, the training, the cash, of course, machinery, material, the ability to keep very good supply chains, all that. And then the customer stakeholders, how are we at retaining the customer, reaching out to the new customers, right? We need to focus on every as customer aspect on everything we do, and of course a financial strength. So taking all together, a company needs to make up a balance about it. You cannot go completely on internal process development without looking at the finances and the customer aspect. You can't close business to develop internal stuff. Customers would go somewhere else. You could not go for larger discounts and all that for the customers. We may retain some customers, but we might have an impact on our finances aspect. And then yes, we cannot be losing out on employees. We cannot run down on the employees. We cannot ignore the employee aspect. A company is nothing but human resources. Material resources, yes, we could do something with, but loss of human resource will be a serious loss to the organization. So even in the hardest of times, being less careful about employees might have an impact on our growth for the future. Finances, you can't only look at the finances. There are other aspects that matter for an organization. So balanced scorecard is about exactly how the organization go about this balancing act, right? So we have to make up a measure about our finances, and then the customer the retention or the customer quality or customer retention capacities and our ability to reach out to new customers, and then how good are our internal action plans, internal processes, our management, our training, our decision making, and then yes, the physical capacities of the organization. We need to create a balance of all that rather than depending on one aspect by ignoring others, which is a bad thing to do. Then RIO analysis is an extremely important one even for a marketing strategy. This is about comparing our capacities, our strengths, what we have, our advantages vis-a-vis the competition or the others. Now take a look at a very careful look. Lots of people tend to misunderstand RIO analysis. Value is about, what about what we have? Is it enough for us to compete well in the organization? Can we capture our customers, or can we retain our customers and attract new customers with our unique advantages? That is value. Rarity, is what we giving is rare in the industry, right? How rare is our ability in the industry? For example, if I take let's say something like Imagine Samahan, right, in Sri Lanka. It's one of a kind product. It's rare. Still, there's no competition direct in the market for Samahan like product. Sunlight still holds the way, right? Although there are other products, people still consider, Sunlight to be less comparable to the others. Inimitability, can others copy us? Take something like, let's say, Dynamo was one of the first organizations to bring in submarines into Sri Lanka, but they still lead the way with regard to the quality of the submarines. I'm 100% sure about it, but then others have copied it, others are copying. So how easy or how possible is it to copy our products by the competition? We call it inimitability. And of course, how strong is our organization, right? How capable are we? How are our capacities set? So assessment of them in this way is Rio analysis. This is a really good, actually a fantastic way of identifying our current capacities vis-a-vis the in compared to the competition, with comparison to the constitution. I'm sorry, competition, not constitution. Understanding the competition and putting our products in our one hand and seeing the competition's capacities in the other hand would go a long way in making up a proper assessment of our, the midterm, the short term even, right? Definitely the long term capacities. Even in marketing, we could utilize Rio analysis very well. So, moving on. Next one is strategy map. This is the hard end about it. This is all about identifying our key performance indicators. No matter what the industry is, no matter what our action is, be it the human aspect of human resource management, or the material aspect of process planning, or the promotional aspect of marketing, or any other business aspect in a business strategy, we have to identify our key performance indicators. We call them KPIs. KPIs, mind you, differ from action to action. So analysis of the key performance indicators, having a good idea about the key performance indicators, would help us to make up a proper strategic map, as they call it. Take a look at this. No business plan should ignore the short term aspect. In any presentation, any report, right? Yeah, you may show the long term capacities or long term potential to a board of directors or the senior management, but remember, they are more interested in how are we at the midterm with this plan, and what about our immediate benefits if we could reach them. So the short term, mid term, and the long term is essential no matter what the plan is. So what are our strategic focuses? What about our goals, target markets, customers? What are we going to do? And yes, any risks that we may face, what about the macro factors? And yes, in order to we could set them, but we have to set down here the metrics. How are you going to measure it? Key performance indicators are what? What about our strategic focus, for that matter, right? The long term strategy, right? Maybe research and development, perhaps investment into crucial areas, perhaps training of people, maybe developing customer relations, supplier relations. For a long term goal, we need to develop these things. So we can set up certain key performance indicators like the training capacity, training quality, or rather the speed of delivery, right? These are key performance indicators. Take something like target markets and the customers, identifying the segments, right? And identifying our current footprint in the segment and our ability to reach out to a market share in the particular segment. What our market share planning is. You can say 5% market share or 10% market share. That's a key performance indicator. Can we go there? Midterm also same, and then the long term. So something like this is an essence in any business report. A strategy map is a must. So going back, right? Take a look again. It's not you know, a really brainy, extremely difficult one to understand. Any strategy map should be something very simple that any business personality would be able to understand. So these four factors has to be considered: learning and growth, internal processes, customer, and the finance element. Can you remember the balance scorecard of it? It should be there in the strategy map, right? How are we going to improve the employee capacities and the skills? How are we going to retain employees without letting them go? How are we going to increase our employee numbers with regard to the value and the quality? And what's our key performance indicators on that? And then, yes, the current processes, the quality, the efficiency, the waste management, waste reduction about it, increasing the energy efficiency about it, our delivery quality, some things like the just-in-time capacity, so internal processes. And what about the customer retention? How strong the customer loyalty is? What about their repurchasing capacities? And there we could check, how is our online presence with regard to the customers? There are key performance indicators to check that, such as we could take a look at their the shares, comments, right, visits, and of course the finances. So each of these, mind you, have own key performance indicators. Where we stand and where we need to go shall have a key performance indicator. That is the objective, right? Imagine learning and growth, having our employees have the capacity in the IT to the required level, or increasing our auditing capacity by enhancing our auditor quality. So we have to set numbers, figures. Key performance indicators, mind you, is a specific thing, such as here: market share, returning this much of market share, retaining this much of market share, reaching more market share, or maybe return on investment. What's our return on investment? Increasing the return on investment by 5%, 7%, whatever. Employee engagement, ensuring that the employee engagement has increased with the HR, with the management, feedbacks, and the employee referrals, employee reviews, and all. Time to market. What about our lead times? We have to put numbers for all these things. Time to market increased by 5%, increased by 10%. Net promoter score, how likely, what is the number that we can get our customers promote us? So key performance indicators always come up with a number. We have to set the number to the board of directors, and you have to tell them, we're going to do these things and we shall plan to achieve these numbers related to these things within the 2 or 3 months period, within the 4 to 6 months period, and within 6 to 12 months period. So it's an essential thing. Many business reports miss out on the specifics. We identify the current status, yes, fine. We basically tell what exactly we plan to do, but how exactly are we going to measure whether we are on the right track? What's our way to check up whether we are there? We call them the checkpoints. That's KPIs. KPIs must be there in a business report. Make sure of that. We have to. And then, yes, there could be some more we can add. We can put up Porter's value chain. There are so many that we can put up onto our business strategic management. You could use something like Porter's diamond, but no need to overdo it. No business report should be hundreds of pages. Nobody would be reading it. Ideally, a business report in the industrial setting should be something within 2 to 3,000 words. Nobody would be reading a 5,000 word one. We can put it, we can put a lot of effort in it, but time is everything, conciseness is everything, right? What we need to say, how we need to do, exactly which way we need to achieve it, we have to say it, we have to project it, we have to communicate within a limited amount of time. Time is a key factor. So with that, the number of words matter, number of pages matter. So we need to kind of have it in a very compact way. We have to pocket it well so that the marketing of the idea can be done better internally. So what I have added up here is a number of tools that a business could use. Do not use business tools or other these management tools just because the tools are there. We have to make up an identification as to what sort of tools are we to use. and justify them. That's it. So a proper use of strategic management tools would help us identify my current strategies. It should be there, and it must be able to justify my proposed new strategies. That should be there too. Remember that we are starting with the current strategies, but in our executive summary of the business report, I should tell what my new strategies are and how I'm going to go for it. And in the conclusion, we can prove it. In the recommendations, we can set it. We have to analyze our performance right now as we go about, as we change also, using SWOT or PESTEL, or maybe using the key performance indicators for the future. And what exactly is our action plan? Using things like balance scorecard, maybe things like let's say ANSOF. We could carefully set up an action plan, and then how are we going to execute it? That's the key part. Many business reports go very much compatible here to the action plan, but then implementation execution of it is where we tend to make mistakes. Exactly how we're going to reach there, right? Which way are we going to check ourselves going there? So here we might as well put up a real solid strategy map. We combine it all, we have a killer of a high quality report with a really good set of strategic management tools, which will help a senior manager or the board of directors or your team leader to get exactly what you mean, to understand exactly what you pitch for, and yes, hopefully agree with what your strategy. So strategic management tools have to be done carefully. It's not just a collection of tools. We have to set up an outline like this and make yourself asking very simple set of questions, and that will help, right, to identify specific set of SMART objectives at the end, from the start to the finish. Catch you in another lecture.